First up on The Factor, is the media coverage of Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh biased? And is that coverage helping to further divide this country? A study from the Conservative Media Research Center shows more than 90% of coverage of Kavanaugh has been negative. To many, it seems like the media is painting the Republican Party as the anti-women, anti-sexual assault party and have ruined Kavanaugh's life, whether he gets confirmed or not. Joining me on The Factor to discuss this is former Republican congressional candidate and investment banker Justin Lurie and a political analyst Mustafa Tameez. Now, when you guys see that study, you got to consider the source, right? Where it came from. So are members of the media painting the Supreme Court nominee as someone who is negative?
Absolutely. It's very clear from the Media Research Center that 92% of all the media coverage is directed towards the accusers, whether they have any kind of proof or anything of that nature. But only 8% is directed towards Kavanaugh's denials. And Kavanaugh has been saying very, very loudly that there's no proof, there's no corroboration, but yet they're not even close to being 50-50 on this issue and coverage.
Mustafa, let's bring you in on this conversation.
When his college roommate says, I was there with him and he was drunk a number of times, he walked into the room. When so many people are coming out and giving eyewitness account of how he was when he was growing up, when a letter handwritten by him says that he was, you know, the vacation rental that they used to have, that people should be warned that, you know, a lot of people will drink, and not only they'll drink, but they'll also puke. I mean, over and over and over and over again, when they talk about that it's not been corroborated, it's been corroborated by dozens of people, but Brett Kavanaugh has not taken ownership of it. He continues to deny it. And if you've done a lot of things like that, you're going to get a lot of negative press.
Now, what we're talking about in that instance is his heavy drinking or alleged heavy drinking. But should that preclude him from being a Supreme Court justice?
Well, look, that's not what would preclude him. Lying in front of the Senate committee, it precludes him. For some of the things, the sexual assault precludes them. There are some tangible things that are going on, but the president and the Republican Party are in complete denial.
Now, wouldn't this be exactly what Republicans would be doing if you had someone who was facing such allegations, as well as a history of drinking corroborated by others? That's exactly what you guys would do to a Democrat who would be nominated for Supreme Court justice, right?
A history of drinking. We're looking at his college, I'm sorry, not even his college yearbook. We're looking at his high school yearbook, and he's having a party on the beach.
Even the president said, I was surprised by how many times he said, I love beer.
What?
Now, that's the president.
Who cares about that? What kind of standard is this? Would we want a Supreme Court justice to be executing the law and the same standards? What happened to due process? What happened to impartiality? Do we really
did he make impartiality go out of the window when he said this was a liberal conspiracy against him?
Mm-hmm. This is a liberal conspiracy against him. It's
alternative reality. That's what we like to say.
But continue on.
It's pretty simple. The Democrats, and I would say part of the Democrats is the media, they are unable to knock him down, and there's over 300 judicial opinions. They couldn't knock down his legal philosophy. So instead, they had to impugn his character, his personality. This guy, who's had a track record, absolutely sterling track record. He can no longer coach his kids' basketball team. He can no longer teach at Harvard Law School. And forever, he's going to have these asterisks next to his name, though he's had no due process. There's been no corroboration.
This is not a court. This is a court of public opinion.
Mm-hmm. What is that? Why have a court of public opinion? Let's have due process.
Well, the due process is when Dr. Ford came out and accused him of sexual assault, everybody in this country, around the world, heard that testimony. The president himself said that she is credible. Everybody was able to do this. And then when they saw his testimony, it was basically somebody who was ranting and raving and playing the victim card. This guy grew up in country clubs his entire life, went to the best schools in the nation, claims that he made it up by his bootstraps, when, like the president, he inherited most of what he's gotten. So let's be fair. Let's be real. Let's not live in an alternative reality.
very hilarious pivot. You could bring Trump into it. But instead
Hilarious
we're looking
pivot?
at Rachel.
Really quick, 20 seconds, because
The prosecutor who was asking the questions,
who was handpicked by Republicans,
Dr. Ford, who has all these credentials from Democrat governors. She said very clearly, it's been repeated many times, there's not even enough evidence here to get a warrant.
She was handpicked by the Republicans, and that's never been done in a committee. The senators hid behind someone who wrote a memo that really was biased.
Because the media distorts
everything.
everything.
Thank you for coming on The Fact Uncensored.
Thank you, Isiah.
Always good to have you.